Hi everyone, Tim here from Tilo RC and welcome to another episode. And in this episode we're going to be getting the Hangar 9 Ultra Stick finished and ready to fly. So we've got to install the engine, we've got to install all the radio gear and get all the bits finished, get it ready so we can fly it. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Okay, now we've got the CG sorted, we know we can get the servos into here. And I don't need to put them in the back here, which is where they can also go. There's slots around here somewhere, which you can cut out. But I don't need to do that. I'm going to put them there in the traditional place. What I have had to do is widen this because it's just never big enough for standard servos. A lot of ARTFs are like this. It really sort of winds me up sometimes because it's quite difficult to cut into this birch ply and widen that slot. I don't know why they do it, but unless the servos I use are slightly larger than standard. I don't know, but I don't think they are. So anyway, they're going to slot in there now, like this. I'm going to put them with the heads facing towards the front. I just need to sort the cables out, so I'm going to get those put in there, drilled in place, and get the arms and everything put on. And then once I've done that, we're then going to move on to getting the engine mounted. So I'll get these servos mounted, just get the holes drilled out, and we'll show you what's next. Okay, so the servos have gone in nicely there. Just put them right to the edges of the cutout, so there's plenty of room there. The control arm will sort of hit that, but I don't think that's going to be. Well, actually it just about misses it. Yeah, so it does actually go past it. So it should be fine. But if it does hit it, I might just have to cut a little notch out there. I've routed the cables up through here, because I think what I'm going to do is put the receiver there, mount it on its side, because then I can run the antenna down here and across there. That'd be quite good. I was going to mount the engine, but actually decided that next job I'm going to get done is to get the get these rear control surfaces hooked up. So it's fairly straightforward. So I've got a couple of push rods included in the kit. There's one's longer than the other. The longer one's for the rudder and shorter ones for the elevator. And then you might just be able to see there, I think, just in there. They've already got the tubes, the outers for the push rods already installed. There's some other push rods as well, some smaller ones if you were going to put your servos here, but obviously I'm not going to do that. So then at each end you just have a clevis, so fairly standard setup. It's got threads at each end of the push rods, that's fine. So my next job is actually getting these control horns on the rudder and elevator. And these are a bit strange, these control horns as well. The difference is sort of I've used in the past. They do have a plate that goes on the bottom, but it's not a screw that screws into this. It's a bolt that bolts through, and then you put a nut on the other side. They do supply some nuts, but they're not lock nuts, and I'm not keen on the idea of that. It does say obviously to put glue on them, but I've got some little nylock nuts which I'm going to be using. So that's my next job. Fairly straightforward, obviously, is just to get those drilled out, and they have marked already on here. You can just make that out there. So you've got the 3 holes there, which is already marked by the factory. You've just got to drill them out a bit more to take these little bolts that go through. So that is going to be next job. So control horns on, push rods pushed through and hooked up using the clevis, and then we'll get onto the engine. Okay, it's all hooked up and moving nicely. And that's only on 4.8 volts. I'm actually going to be running this on 6 volts. So plenty of power there, and it's a nice and smooth action as well. So there's no sort of the servo's not got to do too much work at all, which is absolutely spot on for this sort of a plane. The only tricky thing I had was didn't appear, I don't know whether it's just on this particular model that I've bought or whether they're all like this, but there was no holes, not just in the covering, but there weren't any holes in the actual wood for the push rod to come through. So that was a bit tricky because you can't really see where the holes are meant to be, so you can't really drill them out because you might get it in the wrong position. So in the end they ended up sort of, it was a little bit brutal really, ended up just really forcing the push rod through until it actually poked through the bolster and I could see it coming out the covering, and then as soon as I saw it I pulled it back and then just drilled it out a bit, but that was a bit strange. But other than that, fairly straightforward. Clevises are on, got the silicone tubing around the clevis just to keep it secure as well. Obviously I've just done it with a servo tester for now and centralised the servos, but they will no doubt need adjusting when I actually hook it up to the radio. And the other sort of minor issue I had is particularly this rudder push rod, I would say is a little bit too long. And I mean the elevator one's quite long, so I've ended up winding the clevises right on, so there's quite a lot of thread showing through on the other side of the clevis, but that's not a problem. Rather it be that way than obviously not enough thread to put the clevis on. So yeah, there we are. So it's time to get the engine mounted now. So yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so I've got the engine in position from where I've sort of marked it up when we did the CG check, and basically going to use this tool, which I think is it's a Great Plains one, and especially for, I've shown you this before on my channel if you've watched some older videos, but basically it's especially for mounting engines, and this cone centres itself on the engine mount, and then you've got that little drill bit there, sorry, and that allows you to put a little sort of mark basically where you want the engine, the bolt to go through. So we'll use that now. We just make a mark. We'll do the same on that side. And then that one. That should just about give us the marks that we need. And we know that they are more or less in the centre. I'm just going to mark those. Just going to get a Sharpie and just mark where each one is. Also, of course, gives you a little pilot hole as well. Let's just check that. Okay, it's just this back one that's slightly off centre. I don't think that's to do with the tool, I think that's just to do more with it was actually catching against this the little valve connector, hose connector. So just readjust that. Let's have a look at that now. Yeah, that's probably somewhere in the middle of those two dots is about right. Okay, good. Right, I'll get that drilled out, and that's the engine mounted really. It's as simple as that. It's just so easy because we've got no cow to worry about or anything like that. Okay, so just going to drill a pilot hole first. Then we'll go in with the big one. Alright, engine is mounted, and that is nice and rock solid. So using washers and lock nuts underneath, so there's no chance that's going to come off. So So my next job is to get the throttle linkage set up. I think I'm going to have to drill some holes to get this through. There's nothing pre-drilled by the looks of it. So we'll take a look at that. But before I do that, I need a cup of tea. So I'm just going to take a quick break and then we'll get stuck into that throttle cable. Right, so just looking now how to run this throttle cable. I think I've drilled a hole here for the outer to go through, so that just goes through that former there. But to get it through the firewall, it actually needs to go, let's get my pencil. Actually needs to go about there, but I can't, well, it's difficult to drill a hole there anyway because it's difficult to get the drill in, but also that's right next to the, on the other side, that's right next to the engine mount. The engine mount's about here. So what I'm going to do, just been sort of having to think about it, I think the best thing to do is I've got the multi-tool on my Dremel here, and I'm just going to Dremel a slot in there. Hopefully I can get the Dremel in from this angle. I might have to just take this servo out actually. But yeah, I'm just going to Dremel a slot in there, and then hopefully I can push the outer in there, and then that should give it a nice run to the, so it'll just run through there, and then it will come out this side of the engine mount, and then along there, and obviously just hook up to the throttle there. So yeah, I'm going to do a bit of Dremeling. Alright, so that's got all that hooked up there. Actually moving fairly well. This is actually quite a noisy servo as well, this one. It's not a McGregor one, it's just a cheap Metal Gear digital servo, but should be fine for the throttle. And we've got the full range there, no problem. And also I'm running this servo tester off 4.8 volts, but I'll be running the plane off 6, so it'll have a bit more torque anyway. So that's done. All I've got to do is just epoxy. Oh, I just used that right angle bit like that on the Dremel. That worked an absolute treat. So that's just going through there like that. It's just notched into the side of the firewall. So I've just got to epoxy that in place. Also just put a little bit of epoxy around where it's going through this former there, just to secure that there. And then next thing I want to do is, you actually get this battery tray with the kit, which obviously I'm not going to use, which goes in the front here somehow, and I think you can fasten it down. Actually, I think it's probably meant to hook onto there, maybe. But what I want to do anyway is build a little tray just to go here, because that's where I'm going to sit my 6-volt battery. It's just going to sit, actually it's probably going to be like that. So I just want to build a little tray to go in there. So I'm just going to cut this up basically, and may as well use this, and I'll put a block there just so it's level, and that will also act as a fuel tank stop as well. And then I can get the battery nicely secured. I'll put that there like that, and then I can get a strap around the battery. That should hold that tight. And then I think we've just got to get the undercarriage on, and it's pretty much done. Just need to set the radio. Oh, I've got to put the receiver in, obviously, which actually I've just realised I was going to put the receiver there, but I can't do that, can I? Because of the throttle. However, the receiver could sit there easily, so it's going to have to go there. I've got to cut that off as well, because obviously that's way too long. Loctite that as well, but I'll do that once I've set the throttle up on my plane, on the radio gear, sorry. So yeah, oh, and I've just got to plumb the tank in as well. So we're almost there. So I think what I'll do is, because these are all just fiddly bits now, I'll get all those bits done, and then I'll show you basically when it's ready to go. Okay, it is finished. So let me just show you a quick look inside, and then I'll put the wings on and just show you what it looks like all done. So here's my radio layout. So I've got the battery there. I actually used the LiPo battery tray that you get included in the kit, which fitted in there, an absolute treat. So I've epoxied that down, and then I've just strapped my 9mm battery to that, and that's all after testing the centre of gravity and all that, so that should be in the right place. I do need to just check the centre of gravity again one last time, obviously, before I fly it, because it wasn't 100% accurate when I tested it, but it was as close as I could get it. But now everything's in its place, just need to check that. But yeah, got the receiver sat there in the middle. I've got an aerial going around there, and then another one going around here, so it's kind of 90 degrees. They're my two aileron leads, and then I've just got that for the flaps, and then as you can see, got those two servers on in there with the silicone. So yeah, all gone nicely. Engines mounted, nose cones on. The nose cones may be a tad big. I actually got this off the extra. There is one in the kit, but I thought this one's already cut to size and everything, and I don't think the kit looks too bad at all. Wheel pants are on, undercarriage is on. The wheel pants went on really easy. So much nicer system than the Seagull Extra. These just bolt on with 2 bolts, separate to the actual axles. Yeah, so fuel tank's in there, that's all plumbed in. I've only got the 2, so I've got one going to the exhaust, and then I've just got this one for the carburettor, and to fill it I'll just take that off and just fill it via that. I haven't got a separate filler tube. I can always add one if I want one, but for now I'm just going to do it like that, and then obviously when I come to drain it, that's going to drain everything out of the clunk as well. And I've got the tank installed. I've screwed that down so I can't get it off, but basically I've managed to cable tie the tank as well to stop that moving about, and I've put some anti-slip mat underneath the tank so that doesn't slide around. So let me just pop the wings on, and then we can have a look at the final thing. Okay, there it is with the wings on. I've not bolted them down, I've just put them on for now. And it's quite a decent sized model actually. It's almost sort of a lot bigger than it looks on various videos and things that I've seen. So yeah, definitely going to be nice and easy to see. Should be able to handle some fair bit of wind, although it is very light for a big model, because everything, as you can see here, look, everything's built up construction, which is the whole idea of it. And even though, you know, it is a stick and it's a simple model, I do think it looks really quite good. I like the tail design they've done on this one compared to the rounded ones that you get. Yeah, so really looking forward to flying this. I've got one last job to do, and that is I just need to fill around with my engine a little bit. So I'm going to take it down the field. What I'm probably going to do is take it down on a fairly windy day when almost guaranteed no one's going to be there. I'm not going to fly it, I'm just going to get it on the bench and just fiddle around getting the engine tuned up, making sure there's a real nice pickup on it, because what it was doing before, it was bogging down and then cutting out when I tried to open the throttle, and I want to get all that ironed out and just get it, you know, instant pickup and really running nice. And obviously I will film the maiden. I haven't done any mixing yet for the flaps and the ailerons. I'm just going to leave those as they are now. Oh yeah, one other thing I was just going to show you was underneath here. So I've just got some of this cable tidy and cable protection in there just to neaten those cables up. And obviously you've got the 4 plugs on the end there for the flaps and the ailerons. But I just figured that was a bit of a nicer solution rather than just having the bare cables lying around, especially because all the servos are in that bay. Didn't want anything catching, so I think they call it snakeskin or something like that, don't they, that cable covering. So yeah, just leaves me to say, if you've enjoyed this video, then please, I'd really appreciate it if you could help me out by hitting the subscribe button. And speaking of subscribers, I actually managed to get an hour or so's flying in today after I left the office. And there was a chap down the flying field flying a de Havilland Vampire. Very nice chap, and it turns out he's a subscriber. So that's the first person I've actually met that's a subscriber that I don't know. So yeah, it was really nice to have a chat with him, and said he enjoyed watching the channel, etc. So yeah, thanks for that. And also, yeah, thanks to everyone who's already subscribed. I really appreciate it. We're nearly at 1,000. So help me out. If you've first time you're coming across this video and you like bolts, fixed wing, nitro, electric, all that good stuff, then hit the subscribe button, hit the bell if you want to be notified of the making of this when I bring out the next episode. And of course, you can help me as well by giving me a thumbs up, hit the like button. And if you've got any comments or you've got any questions about this, maybe you're thinking of buying one and you want to ask me a few things, then stick them down in the comments section and I will always get back to you. But for now, I shall see you soon for the next one.